Welcome back. Today we're here with James. James, if you could please introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about your role within LJMU.
So my name's James Forshaw. I manage the money advice team here at Liverpool John Moores University, and I guess we're a discretionary hub for funding and money advice in the university. So a big part of our job involves dealing with student finance issues, but then further into the academic year, it's more about managing money and money advice generally.
So do you think financial stress is having an increasingly negative impact on students' mental health?
I think yes is the short answer. For sure, financial well-being is inextricably linked to mental well-being, and we've seen that since the pandemic, since we came back from there, and the stresses and strains that's put on people's mental health. But then that social model of well-being as well having impacts. You know, how do I pay the bills, developing anxiety, those type of issues. We see that a lot of the time, and actually the team that I manage feel a lot like social workers a lot of the time because of those types of issues that we're dealing with day to day.
Yeah.
Do you think you've seen kind of any trends in similar financial stresses in like student population in the past few years? Obviously with the cost of living crisis, I know that's kind of a big one.
Yeah, cost of living's been a real big hit for us, big impact point. I think with the utility bills, we saw utility bills rise, didn't we? And actually we were quite agile in response to that. We developed an energy award fund to help students. Once we realised what the issues were, and those issues were students at the end of tenancies getting rather astronomical fuel bills because they'd gone over their fair usage cap, and we weren't really used to looking at tenancy agreements prior to that. It was only when the utility bills had spiked that we really started to see it. So we came up with the Energy Award Fund and formalised that with a policy and then rolled that out to students. So in the first year of that policy, I think we spent about £250,000 on energy awards. So it was a big thing. And cost of living, price of shopping's gone up, hasn't it, dramatically. And actually even now, it hasn't come back to those levels that it was at.
Pre-COVID,
Yeah, so when students are applying for the Student Support Fund, which is the big budget that we have to support students with financial assistance, that resonates throughout many statements that students are submitting. Is that day-to-day spend on shopping is a big thing. And actually in December 24, lots of students choosing to heat their property or eat. So yeah, it's been a real issue. Cost of living is still an ongoing thing for us. We see other trends as well. You know, I don't like to think of it, but the way I phrase it is that payday mentality as well. That's a real issue for students, making the right decisions financially at that point there on that day really impacts on the future in that academic year. So you know, students potentially getting £4,000 dropped into their bank accounts, and that could be the most money they've seen ever in their lives at that point. And they're new to managing budgets as well, so that presents a real challenge. You know, those trainers that you've looked at through the shop window for all those weeks and months suddenly become buyable. And then a whole new wardrobe will follow behind that. And actually, if you can make those good financial decisions at that point, then it just does build for a better student experience throughout the academic year. And we see lots of students who can manage money as well, really well. You know, in the old days, we'd see students with running £2,000 overdrafts. These days, less students running overdrafts, which is a good thing. Something good is happening there.
So you mentioned the Energy Support Fund. What other support does the money advice team offer that students might not be aware of?
I would hope students are aware of all the support we do. We've certainly tried to build synergies across the university, across faculties and schools. We've certainly done a lot of very silly TikToks to draw attention to ourselves. And actually, we've got our Instagram up to just under 2,500 followers now. 10,000 is the plan for end of next academic year. So we've got lots of work to do around that. But Energy Awards was a very new thing that we came up with, and we got the word out quite quickly through JMSU, through the student email with corporate comms, and really try to highlight it as much as we can. We still find students who've managed to get to their third year without finding out about the support that we offer. And I guess there's an issue there for us to address in the future, which I'm keen to do. The Student Support Fund is the main budget that we have. So there are lots of different budget lines within the Student Support Fund that we can operate and pull funds through for students. But the Student Support Fund is the main one. And really, the idea of when we're supporting a student, when we're having conversations with students, getting that form completed, there's a big dragnet that comes behind that as well. So what we're trying to do is identify issues around the conversation that we've had, but also issues that we see through looking at bank statements, and the supporting statements that go in as well. So that will help us identify things other funds that we can pull through as part of that Student Support Fund. But the £1 million budget is the big one. That's the Student Support Fund.
You mentioned overdraft earlier and how students are getting into them slightly less than before. Would you say that the university could possibly do more to offer financial education within the student experience?
I think that's a wider issue than just universities. I think that could be built into school curriculums at a much earlier age, primary school, secondary school. I think if there was some level of financial literacy built into the teachings there, then students would be coming to university with better skills in the first instance. In terms of what universities can do, we can definitely do more. I mean, we're quite a small team, and we spend a lot of our time firefighting. So we get students coming in with money issues or funding issues, and so activity tends to focus on that. Ideally, what we'd like to do is go out into the university community and have more engagement in terms of building skills. But being a small team and having the impact that we have, just to give you an example of the levels of students that we see, between September and December this year, it was between 20. We operated a drop-in, so we were getting between 20 and 40 students a day coming into the drop-in. So it was quite an astronomical amount of students we were getting through and work we were having to get through. So that does negate the ability for us to then go out and do that proactive stuff. One of the biggest issues we've had in the past when we've tried to do that type of activity is students just don't engage. So we used to do a Money Mondays where we'd have a webinar, and if we were lucky we'd get one person turn up. Then we'd do a Fishing Friday, which was fishing with a PH, because it was about scams, because scams are on the increase. And certainly scammers have got used to the idea that students are getting paid large amounts of money in 3 instalments each year, and so they're targeting those dates as well. So yeah, there's much more we can do, but it is about resource really. That's the biggest impediment to us.
Okay.
I've worked with the Student Living Assistant team this year, and we've ran a few giveaways for the Money Advice team for the cost of living crisis. And that, I've never seen as many students participate in a university event. I think that there is, such an incentive for people to, everyone needs something right now, and it is difficult to manage their kind of finances. But we had really positive feedback from those events where we handed out toiletries and stuff, which I think is a really beneficial thing that I hope continues as we go on.
The plan is to continue that activity, and it's great to hear you've been involved in it and to hear your feedback as well. The idea, that was really an idea that we had, which sprung out of the cost of living crisis, because we were getting students who couldn't afford hygiene products, basic hygiene products, who couldn't afford washing powder to wash their clothes, who weren't drying their clothes properly, so they were getting that musty smell, and so it was an idea that sprung out of that, and the feedback from them has been really good. We plan to continue it next year. We've certainly got some budget to do that, so the planning's already in process for that. The feedback on it has been brilliant. And we got to go over to a place called Lever, which anybody can go to, and that's where we buy all of our products from. So anybody can go over there and get cost cheaper products. And actually, the notion in our heads is, if we can, the boxes of washing powder, for example, that we were giving out, if we give a box of washing powder out in October, I think there was about 18, 20 washes in. So hopefully that box of washing powder then covers you for the semester. So, and washing powder is not cheap, is it? So
No.
the idea is it keeps more money in your pocket. And the other thing we talk about as well, to link into to those hygiene giveaways that we do, is the use of food pantries. So there's lots of food pantries around the city centre, and there's one literally next door to Byram Street, a stone's throw. So we've done some volunteering there ourselves in the wider community, just to build those synergies. And so students can go in, pay £5 and take £20 worth out. Now, it might not seem like a massive amount, and selection might not be the same as a big Tesco's, but it's reducing your cost all the time. And I think, from my experience, the more money a student, anybody, me, myself included, the more money you can keep in your pocket, the better your life is going to be, the better your student experience is going to be, because you've got more money in your pocket then to make those decisions about what social activities you want to get involved in, and maybe you can get involved in a bit more and build those synergies in your own life, and then feel a bit more of that sense of belonging to the university and to the city as well. So there's multiple layers of benefit to all of us. The community pantries as well, there's a benefit to them, because the more stuff they can get rid of, the more stuff they'll get in.
Yeah.
So and they've got a lot of wastage as well, because they're just not getting enough people in.
Yeah.
So it's about reducing the cost really to your individual pocket, the giveaways.
Yeah.
But they've been great. The feedback's been great, and feedback for the SLAs has been brilliant as well. Certainly the staff who get involved in those activities have really enjoyed working with the SLAs, and we've been a great support, it has to be said. We couldn't do it without you.
Well, thank you so much, James, for coming and speaking to us today. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you.